Look closely at this image. This isn't ancient history. This is 1985, the Soviet Union, a global empire, a nuclear titan, the other half of a bipolar world, the world's largest standing army, a space program that humbled the West. This nation spent 40 years in a Cold War stalemate with the United States. Its collapse was supposed to be a slow, grinding, decades-long affair. Instead, it was a snap, a stunning 900-day disintegration, a superpower reduced to non-existence in less than 3 years. Historians call it an implosion. Politicians call it a miracle. But what if it wasn't a miracle? What if it wasn't unique? What if it was a pattern? A sequence so precise, so devastating, that it has already destroyed every global superpower that has followed it for the past 500 years? This documentary traces that pattern. 7 stages, 3 empires, all 3 complete collapses. And the United States, it has already completed 5 of those 7 stages. This isn't speculation. This is pattern recognition from documented history. We are going to reveal the first 3 empires' journeys and show you exactly where the American empire stands today. To understand the end of a superpower, you must first understand its beginning. Our story starts with Spain, the 16th century, King Philip II. The Spanish Empire was the wealthiest entity on earth. Why? Silver. The incredible, unimaginable wealth pouring out of the mines of Potosí in the Andes. This wasn't just a kingdom, it was the first true global superpower. Spain built its power on the back of the silver. It became the dominant military and naval force. Its currency, the Spanish silver dollar, or the piece of 8, became the world's first reserve currency. Everywhere on the planet, business was done in Spanish silver. They had the wealth, the military, and the dominant money. They believed they were exceptional. But behind the golden facade, a rot had begun. The twist? The king, Philip II, the richest man on earth, was also the biggest debtor. He didn't see the silver as wealth to be saved, but as a perpetual funding source for endless foreign wars. The problem wasn't the supply of silver, the problem was the demand for war. He was borrowing from German and Genoese bankers at ruinous interest rates, certain that the next fleet of galleons would pay the debt. He was running the empire on a future promise. The very thing that made Spain a superpower, its military might, became its greatest weakness. Philip was perpetually at war. The Dutch revolt, conflict with England, naval battles with the Ottomans. This is military overextension. Using your military and your wealth to enforce an ever-expanding border and ever-expanding commitments. By the 1592, Spain's army was everywhere, and its budget was stretched to the breaking point. The vast silver flow wasn't enough to cover the military bills. So, what did the crown do? Stage 2, currency debasement. The Spanish vellon coin, the copper currency of the common people, was systematically debased. The crown printed more and more fiat currency, adding less and less actual metal. The market responded instantly. Inflation. Prices skyrocketed. The people knew their money was a lie. The inevitable happened. The constant borrowing, the escalating interest, the overextended military. Stage 3, debt spiral. Philip II declared 4 major bankruptcies between 1557 and 1596. His successor, Philip III, inherited the mess and declared another in 1607. With each default, trust vanished. The interest on new loans became crippling. Spain's credit rating was 0. When the state only values conquest and silver extraction, it neglects the engine of its own economy. Stage 4, loss of productive capacity. Spain's rich middle class, the productive core, was choked by taxes and high inflation. The government prioritized shipping foreign silver and fighting foreign wars over domestic industry. Farmers, merchants, and manufacturers withered. With the economy failing, the common man suffering, and the government seen as hopelessly corrupt, the empire turned on itself. Stage 5, social decay. Revolts erupted in Catalonia and Portugal. The empire began to fracture from within. Trust in the crown, in the military, and in the currency evaporated. By the mid-17th century, Spain had gone from the richest nation to the poorest. Stage 6, loss of reserve currency status. The world had simply switched. Trade routes were protected by the Dutch and the English. Commerce was increasingly settled in Amsterdam using Dutch currency. The Spanish silver dollar was still used, but the power behind it was gone. The final stage, Stage 7, collapse, was completed by the Treaty of the Pyrenees in 1659 and the Treaty of Lisbon in 1668, where Spain officially lost its dominance and recognized the independence of Portugal. The empire was shattered. The pattern was complete. 7 stages, 80 years. You might say Spain was an anomaly, a victim of the transition from a medieval to a modern economy. But history is relentless. The next superpower to dominate the globe was the British Empire. Britain's collapse pattern was far faster than Spain's, compressed into 40 brutal years. The moment of truth, the definitive sign of the shift, was Stage 6, loss of reserve currency status. In 1944, the Bretton Woods Agreement officially installed the US dollar as the world's primary reserve currency, pegged to gold. The reign of the British pound was over. Stage 7. Collapse followed quickly. By 1954, the Suez Crisis revealed Britain could no longer act independently. The empire was dissolved. Another superpower, same 7-stage sequence. The final, fastest collapse of our historical trio was the Soviet Union. This brings us back to our opening mystery. How did the Soviet Union disappear in 900 days? It was because it had already completed the first 5 stages. The final 2 were lightning fast. History doesn't predict the future, but it reveals patterns. The crucial question is, where is the United States today in this 500-year sequence? The answer is not comforting. Since 2001, the War on Terror, 2 decades of conflict in Afghanistan and Iraq, over 800 military bases in 70 countries, the largest, most technologically advanced, and most globally extended military footprint in human history. The cost? Staggering. The 2008 financial crisis and the 2020 pandemic response. Quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve purchasing trillions in government bonds. The money supply, M2, exploded. When you drastically increase the supply of a currency, you systematically decrease its purchasing power. It is a financial form of debasement. The 2008 financial crisis and the 2020 pandemic response. Quantitative easing, the Federal Reserve purchasing trillions in government bonds. The money supply, M2, exploded. When you drastically increase the supply of a currency, you systematically decrease its purchasing power. It is a financial form of debasement, the backbone of American power. Since 2000, manufacturing jobs have been outsourced to chase cheap labor. The US runs a massive trade deficit, meaning it imports far more than it exports. It is no longer a major producer, it is a major consumer. Look around. Extreme political polarization, a crisis of trust in institutions, the media, the government, the Federal Reserve, massive wealth inequality, declining life expectancy. Stage 5, social decay, is the current chaotic stage. The empire is turning on itself, fueled by mistrust and a shrinking economic pie for the majority. This is where history shifts from pattern recognition to warning. If the first 5 stages are complete, the only things left are Stage 6, loss of reserve currency status, and Stage 7, collapse. The Soviet Union had no political will to address its debt. Spain had no political will to prioritize its home economy. Today, despite the $36 trillion debt and the $1 trillion interest payment, there is no political will to address the US financial situation. The warning signs of Stage 6 are everywhere. History doesn't give a date, it gives a sequence. The math is unsustainable. The pattern is undeniable. The only uncertainty is how long it takes to move from Stage 5 through Stage 6 and into Stage 7. We've traced 500 years of history and watched 3 empires fall, each believing they were exceptional. The lesson is clear: prepare or be blindsided. History shows us that these transitions are not orderly. They are chaotic, deflationary, and often violent. Understanding the pattern determines whether you react to the inevitable or whether you prepare for the change that is already underway. If you believe history is repeating itself, you need to know how to navigate the instability of a Stage 5 world. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Our next video will analyze the personal financial response to a Stage 6 environment. What assets survive a reserve currency collapse? What is the flight to safety?